All right, welcome everyone to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. Bunch of questions. Bunch of questions came in. We'll see how far we get with them. One question came in, and the question was more like I would say a theoretical question, but you never know. You definitely never know. Someone asked, is it permitted for a Jew to move to Mars when they're able to offer colony space flights to Mars? Let's say that would be the case, right? Let's say, that could happen. Would that be a problem, right? Is there any problem for a Jew to move there? What if the earth is in danger of destruction? Is there any way this would be permitted? So basically, if there weren't any issues, let's say, I don't know, the Earth's gonna, get taken over and it's not a safe place and dangerous, but people could, I don't know, get up in spaceships or who knows what to, to go there, or even if there wasn't a problem, we'll make it easy. Let's say there's no issue. There's no issue. Is a Jew allowed to go up there? Would a Jew allowed to go up there? So, certainly at the outset, a Jew is not allowed to go to a place there's no community. You got to be part of a Jewish community, right? The Rambam in the Laws of Repentance says that that one of the things that there are 24 things that stop a person from repentance, right? One of them is separating yourself from the community. Now this comes up in the process of conversion, one of the hardest things to do, probably the hardest thing to do for a Jew, and that is to move to a Jewish community. And people have said, for a number of people say, that, it doesn't say anywhere in the Torah, doesn't say anywhere in the Torah, doesn't say anywhere, in the Talmud, etc., that a non-Jew has to move to a Jewish community. So the obvious answer to that is, how is a Jew going to be, how's the person going to be a Jew if you don't live amongst Jews? Now, living amongst Jews, maybe a person will change their mind after they see how Jews act, but that's a different issue. All right, that's a different issue. But, a Jew, or a Jew wannabe, a JIT, what I would say, Jew in training or whatever, someone who wants to convert, how in the world are they going to become a Jew if they don't move? If they don't live amongst Jews? You could tell me maybe 300, 400, 500 years ago, you could tell me a person may be able to learn things by osmosis. Okay, well, that's not the case today, right? It's not even close to the case today. So first of all, you got to learn, right? It's plenty of what you have to learn. But second of all, you got to be part of a Jewish community, right? That's pretty clear. You're not gonna be a Jew without living amongst Jews, right? So that's not going to happen, right? So even if technically, yeah, maybe it's not brought down the Talmud, maybe it's not brought down the Torah, but how in the world are you going to be a Jew if you don't live amongst Jews? Not only that, the Rambam says you cannot separate yourself from the community. So you have to be part of a community, for the good things that happen, for the bad things that happen. But bottom line, that's going to stop a person from repentance. That's one thing. 1 out of 24 things. So putting yourself in that situation, if you already live there, right? A person, let's say you live in a community, you live somewhere in the middle of, I don't know, middle of nowhere, which a lot of people I happen to deal with, they live in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Right? But okay. That's where you live. But living there because you have to, or because, I don't know, because you want to, let's say, that's not conducive to being a Jew. So, what someone will say, but you got Jews living all over the place also. Okay. That might be true, but that doesn't make it a good thing. That doesn't make it a good thing that they don't live, within walking distance of a synagogue, of an Orthodox synagogue, right? Let's say. right? That's certainly a problem. They can say, okay, membership has privileges, like like an American Express, okay, right? But it's not a good thing for them to do. Certainly not a good thing to do. A non-Jew wants to convert, you got to be part of a community. So now it wasn't about that. It was about a Jew. Very good. So if a Jew wants to move to a place, Mars, anywhere, yeah, let's say, okay, they're using Mars as an example. Okay. So they want to live, they want to move to Mars. Any Jews there? Any Jewish community there? Say, I'll take 10 Jews with me. We'll have our own community there. Okay. I don't think it's kind of the best thing to do. Space travel kind of dangerous. Um, one screws out of place, you're in trouble. So even going there, you're not allowed to put your life in danger. That's probably that for the most part is putting your life in danger, regardless of what, rich people are doing today with the, Elon Musk and going up there, whatever, going up to space. I don't know. Doesn't sound so safe to me. But all right, nothing's happened up until this point. I'm not going to the prophet of doom, right? And say, oh, all these people are going to die, right? Obviously, if God doesn't want you to die, you won't die. But the question is, putting yourself in danger, you're not allowed to, right? You get, people are afraid. I was telling someone this earlier, or yesterday or whatever, that, you got people that are afraid of going on a plane. Now, what are the odds of a plane crashing? Probably not so high. Yeah, not so high. But if a plane goes down, probably not going to be so many survivors. Okay, but even if that's the case, statistically, it's more dangerous to be in a car, right? Especially here in Israel, no question. Right? Probably one of the few places that at the end of the week you hear in the news, how many people killed or injured in car accidents. Okay, so it's more dangerous to be in a car. So you shouldn't be in a car, right? You have to get around. Right, a person has to get around. Obviously, here in Israel, it's a good bus system and whatever. But okay, but it's dangerous to be in a car. But no one's going to say don't get in a car, right? So that would be more dangerous than being on a plane. Now, it's your bad luck if you're on a plane and the plane crashes. Okay, so person most likely probably won't survive. That's probably it's probably the case. But going on a plane is safe, right? Relatively safe. So shouldn't be any issue. Shouldn't be any issue going on a plane. Okay. Going into space, I would think is a little bit different, right? Someone to ask, is it permissible to go in space? So the question is it a danger, right? There are a couple issues here. One is it a danger? If it's proven it's not a danger, things go up all the time, nothing happens, then it might be permissible to go. If it's a danger, it'd be forbidden, right? So the first part of the question is, okay, let's say there's no danger, right? We'll make it easy. There's no danger. So even if you tell me there's no danger, yeah, but you have no community. There's no community. So if there's no community, why do it? You're putting spiritual self in danger, not just physically, right? Not just physically. So I would say, how can you go up there, all things being equal, if there's no even if there's no problem, of space travel? Yeah, you're isolating yourself. You're not allowed to isolate yourself. A Jew's not allowed to isolate himself. If a person, let's say, was a born Jew, he lives somewhere and he's isolated, okay. I'm not saying it's a good thing. So I'm not saying it's a good thing, and they should move. Within walking distance. Of an Orthodox synagogue, very good. Yeah, but in general, going to a place there are no Jews, so that should be forbidden. Now, Chabad's a different issue. They go out, they go to far-flung places of the world, all over the world, in order to draw Jews back because Jews are everywhere. So that was above Rebbe's mandate. One of them is to send these, the shluchim, sending them out to try and draw Jews back. But they're all over the world. They're all like in the middle of Timbuktu. A lot of them. So a lot of times they'd send their kids out, because of education, but they have a huge network. They have a very big network. Okay. Now, in some ways you could say that's a good thing, it's a bad thing. You can say, we'll say the bad thing. You're in the middle of nowhere. There's no strong Jewish community around you. So like you're on your own in the middle of nowhere. Wow, that's not so good. That's definitely not so good. You say, but they get a special blessing. The kids will be protected. They're going to draw Jews back. Very good. Okay. But in general, should everybody else do such a thing and just live in the middle of nowhere? No. Right? So the question is, would it be okay to do it? I mean, you're isolating yourself. If you go anywhere in the world like that, you're isolating yourself. So how can that be a good thing for a Jew? Jew needs a community. So then someone will say, come on, I'll bring a community with me. Right? I'll take 20 people with me, 10 people with me, whatever. I'll always have a minion. Bring up a Sefer Torah scroll, right? We'll do it right. But again, is that a good thing to do? Spiritually speaking, the answer is no. But, all right, we'll make it a little more complicated now. What if there was a danger of destruction? The earth is in danger of destruction. Now, let's say it's a legitimate threat. No sci-fi movies here. Yeah, let's say it's a legitimate danger. Because then everyone's going to want to go, right? Or as many people, if they saw that. Okay. But maybe that's a different story. If it's a danger. If it's a danger. So you say, Pikuach Nefesh, saving a life is more important than anything else. Okay. And that's the only way to save yourself, right? Is by going up there. Okay. Yeah, so it's a danger to life. But even if that's the case and you're saving your life, okay, still not a good thing. Here you might say it's under onus. You have maybe you have no choice. Okay. Again, sounds like a good plot for a sci-fi movie. But, it's still not a good thing. It's still not a good thing. So the question is, all right, you want to pin me down. If the earth was in danger, if it was in danger of destruction, that was the only way to be saved. And you had to go, to another planet or whatever. So why not? Saving your life. There's no other choice. But is it a good thing? You're asking if that'd be permitted in that case. Yes. That would probably be permitted. Yeah. Is it a good thing? I'm asking that question. It's not a good thing. For sure not a good thing. Isolation is never good. Right? For Jews, you got to be part of a community. Isolation's never good. Tell me you have no choice. Other circumstances, okay. Right? But it's never good. So in this case, saving your life, right? Or saving the lives of others also. Okay. Right? But it's not a good thing. Definitely not a good thing, so I'll emphasize that. Right? They were asking, is it permitted? Permitted something else. Is it good? Certainly not good. But you say you're saving your life? Okay. You have no choice. Fine. If that's the only way to do it, you have no choice. Good. Right? But isolation is never good in general. Right? That's the answer. Isolation is never good. Yeah, somebody asks, one second here. Somebody asks, how do you deal with loneliness, exhaustion during conversion process? So I'm going to tell you a fundamental principle, and I say it a lot, but it always needs to be repeated. It always needs to be repeated, and that is anyone who wants to convert, right? Or I would say even a non-Jew that doesn't want to convert. Stays a Noahide, they have it worse. Because the question here is, right? The question is, how do you deal with loneliness, and exhaustion during this process, during the conversion process? So I would say that's not the worst part. Stay as a non-Jew. Lead a Noahide life. People can do it. That's not, you don't have to, the person doesn't have to go through conversion. But there it's worse. Why do I say it's worse? It's worse because they don't have communities to go to. It's a much more lonelier path. I'm not saying that's why they should convert. It's a much lonelier path. There are much fewer people. There are fewer ritual. I mean, there's a laundry list of things, that make it much harder. In different ways. But that wasn't the question. Right? We'll deal with the question. That wasn't the question. The question was someone in the process of conversion. So I would tell you, very simple, that this is one of the hardest things. One of the hardest things is to get out, to get to a community. That's one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing. Now, that being the case, that I would say would answer up a lot of things. Because when you're part of a community, it's easier, right? It's definitely, you feel like you're part of a group. It's easier. I don't think there's any question, right? I don't think it's a question. But I would say that even in such a case, even a person, is part of a community can also feel lonely. The lonely process. Definitely a lonely process, even with community. Now, family's not the end all things. A lot of people have family issues. Okay, so you can't rely on family. So when you don't have family, other people become like family. Right? They become like family. Now, is it the same? No, it's not the same. Family, for better or for worse, is family, right? Blood is thicker than water. Okay. Not the end all things. Family can be an albatross, I always say. But I would say that, yeah, it can be lonely. So I would say, you got to put this into practice. And that is that person wants to move, right? That has to be the main priority of everything you're going to do. Now, so you're going to say, well, that doesn't really answer up because, been stuck like this for a long time and can't move. Okay. True. So the advice I would give is that you have to tune out the entire world. You have to tune out everything around you, and you have to stay focused on keeping Torah and doing mitzvahs. Right? I would say this to Noahides also, same thing. It's also a lonely process. Right? I know somebody that, told me a while ago, just like to go out, get a cup of coffee with somebody, and other Noahides, so the closest one is like 350 miles away. Right? For like 400 kilometers or more away. Right? They're spread out. Right? The best thing that people have today, is, online community. It's not the same. It's not the same as being there. Right? That's true. But, if you're not super focused on what you're doing and you stay super focused and you don't get distracted, it'll be worse. Because then a person says, well, I'm not really counted and I'm doing this. I'm trying to do the best of my ability and I have to work and this. You're right. It's a hard process. It's a hard process. But you have to think the end result. What's the end result? And the end result has to be the most important thing you'll do. So you say it is. But it's hard. For a lot of different reasons. Good? It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be, such an easy thing, right? God wanted, everyone to be Jewish. They would be. Very good. Right? But, what's going to happen? You got to work hard. You're going to have to work hard. And there are some people, someone here mentions, person stuck in a place, totally in isolation. Yeah, totally in isolation. Stuck. No one else around thinks like you. Right? Rashoyim, evil people around you. The way they speak, the way they act. So you feel like there's nowhere to go. That gives a person a much greater result. Should give a person a much greater result. And the reason is because who likes to be in that situation? Who wants to live on their own, quote unquote, in isolation? Even if you get to synagogue and you have to travel and this and that, okay. Right? But the person still feels in isolation. So the simple advice I would get is, you got to try and get in contact with more people who think like you and want to do the same things. But you have to be totally immersed in Torah. Now you can say, a person totally immersed in Torah, I always have to think in Torah, this, that, right? Certainly for a guy, you're going to say, come on, it's demoralizing. It's hard. You can always be on. True. Right? That may very well be true. But if you don't stay focused, it's worse. It's worse. So you got to plug at it. I would say, you read Duties of the Hearts. Read over and over and over again, Shar Bitachon, the gate of faith and Amunah. Having the right outlook is 97% of the game. Will not cure mental illness, right? Or maybe other things. But if a person understands the purpose of the world, their purpose, and what they're doing, it's made a podcast probably out next week, on how to find your purpose in the world, right? Essentially, you can say, okay, I see the bigger picture. I have a list of 20 things I'm thankful for. So you say, but it's still lonely. Okay. We're not going to be lonely forever. But you're right, it's hard. That's part of the test. Is a person going to stick to it or not? Are they going to get, dejected when it gets seemingly impossible? That was a Q&A last week. Why people suffer, and people say, which is a major, major cop-out, people say, oh, look, this person wants to convert. Look at all the difficulty. Look at all the difficulty. I wouldn't want part of that. Why would I want to be part of that? Why do you want part of that? Because it's so hard. But you know what? Someone can work on their emunah and bitachon and be so strong that they had to go through it in order for that to come out. It's like God squeezing the bottom of the toothpaste, using you as the bottom of the toothpaste. That person, or any person who has it really, really hard. So what are you going to say? It's impossible. And then people are going to look on the outside and say, see, why would you want that? Look at all the pain. Well, does that person see the bigger picture? Does that person have any clue whatsoever what my purpose in the world is? And what God does for us and the thankfulness we should have? So yeah, it's very easy to fall in depression. It's very easy to be dejected because it's hard. The process is hard. But it's supposed to be. 100% is supposed to be. So you say, I get all that. I see the bigger picture. I work on that and it's still hard. That's part of the test. But you got to think of the goodness. You got to think of the future. You got to think what you want to do, and then you have to go out and do it. So it's harder. Because, hey, I'm still stuck in this place. I still can't move. And other things, okay. But that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a cakewalk. It's not supposed to be, I read a few books and it's done. Right? Now I feel like, and now I'm a Jew. It doesn't work that way. Nothing worthwhile, remember. Nothing worthwhile is beneficial if it's easy. If God put us in this world to toil, right? That's what the Ramchal says. Ramchal says the path of the just. He put us in Derech Hashem as well, the way of God. He put us in this world to toil. Very good. That's what he did. So it's all a test. Sometimes the tests are easier. Sometimes the tests are not. When a person's really feeling down, and this is hard and that's hard, and you never feel you're going to get out of Dodge, so to speak, you're going to get out. What should you be thinking? How can you take yourself out of that? Right? So I would say, think about all the people in the world that worship idols. Think about all the people that's most of the known world today, right? So think about all the people that are brain dead, which is also a good part of the world. Yeah, which is also most people. Most important question they've ever asked, they put ketchup or mustard or relish on my hot dog, right? They're holding nowhere in the world. Think about people like that, which is pretty much most of the world today. Person comes out of idolatry. Person came out of paganism. A Jew comes back to Judaism. There's no room for even thinking, oh, life is so hard. Look at what you have. Look at the beauty of the life that you have. You got the ability to pray to God. You got the ability to learn. Even whatever Noahides are going to learn, that affect them, that apply to them. Very good. So you're going to have that ability. You have the ability to tap into absolute truth. So what are you complaining about? What in the world are you complaining about? Oh, life's so hard. You're right. Life is hard. And life is a huge test, a humongous test in so many things. And maybe everything combined. And a person feels just getting sledgehammered. Okay. Think of but think about what we have the ability to do to understand where we're holding the world, even when we're not holding it in a great place. Well, think about it. We can pray. We understand there's a creator. We understand there are tests. We understand we're not the same people we were 2 months ago, 5 months ago, a year ago. To kiss the ground for such a thing. Should be ecstatic. Not holding where I was before. And not holding like 98% of the world. That's brain dead. To thank God for that. Oh, now a person's going to say, but it's lonely. You're right. You're right. Imagine what Abraham went through. He's called Avram Ivri, not Abraham the Jew. He wasn't Jewish. The Gemara says, the Medrash says, he kept the Torah before it was given. Very good, whatever that means. But think about it. Avram Ivri means he was on one side of the world and everyone else was against him. Everyone had their pocket gods. Here's Bob. Don't leave home without him. Right? Everyone's got their pocket gods. And he understood there's a God of design. That there's a world of design. There's a designer. And they made fun of him. And they laughed at him. And he convinced the masses they were idiots. They were absolute idiots. Abraham fought against the entire world. So you're going to say, but I'm not Abraham. And rabbis tell me, look, you're Abraham. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not even my name. Yeah, not even my Hebrew name. My Savo Simon Labanin. The actions of our forefathers have repercussions for us. Right? It's a sign for us. You can say, but I'm not as strong as Abraham. Doesn't matter. He gave you the ability to fight against these other forces. He fought against the entire world. You think he had it easy? Get thrown in a fiery furnace for his beliefs. Yeah. Wife gets taken. He has to fight the 5 world powers. To help his lone relative, Lot. Circumcision. Sacrifice his son. He didn't have it easy. Abraham doesn't say anything, doesn't complain. Even though, God tells him to sacrifice his son, goes against everything he understands. Everything he understands. So again, you could say, I'm not Abraham, not even close to Abraham. We don't come up to Abraham's toenails. Very good. But think about it. If most of the world today is brain dead, which they are, and you're not, and you're going to the right path, even if it's a struggle, you should be thankful you're not wasting your life. You should be thankful you came to the truth at a young age, relatively young age. Now, doesn't coming to the truth have repercussions? And how do you interact with the world when they're brain dead? Oh, good question. Legitimate question. You still have to deal with them, okay. But even the difficulties that we go through, no matter what they are, right? In this case, it's lonely. You're right. 100% right. It can be lonely. But in the bigger scheme of things, we should be thankful for every second that we recognize God's in charge. We should be thankful that our body works when it works right. We should be thankful we got a roof over our head even if it doesn't belong to us. That we're not living on the streets. Could always be worse. No one's asking for it to be worse. But that doesn't matter. So you're going to say, but it's still hard and lonely. Okay. That's part of the test. But if a person thinks in the bigger scheme of things, Even if it is lonely, very good. There's 10 times more, meaning in what we do than seeing what's going on. I discussed with someone earlier. I'll speak about it on Thursday. I'm not going to hit it now. I mean, I spoke about it before. This great American holiday coming out of Thanksgiving. Beautiful. All about turkey and football, not necessarily in that order. Time for people to get together. Family. Okay. So I told this person, they didn't remember. I told them, he said, when I lived in the States, my kids had school. They're like, well, I know you don't celebrate it, right? He said, your kids didn't have school? I said, no. It's a regular day. It was more like a half day, but whatever. It's like a regular day. Regular day. So, what do you mean you don't celebrate Thanksgiving? They didn't say that, right? This is like you do. Like, I know what they're thinking. That's just wacky. What do you mean Thanksgiving? Okay, you live in Israel, so fine. Yeah. Well, why do I celebrate in America? Is it every day Thanksgiving? Are we thankful for so many things? Shouldn't we be thankful? People live in the States. Shouldn't they? Shouldn't they be thankful that it's a, they call them Medina Shel Chesed, right? It's a country of acts of loving kindness. Doesn't look that way now, or with all the anti-Semitism, but isn't it an act of loving kindness? Jews can live there, practice their religion in general. Sure. Does that mean we should be eating turkey and watching football on that day? Right? You can be thankful for being there. And there are people. I mean, I wouldn't call them ultra-Orthodox, but there are people who eat turkey on Thanksgiving. They'll be thankful for where they are. Okay. There is what to be said for that. 100%. There is what to be said for that. Freedom of religion. Huge thing. Huge thing. There are other issues with it. Fine. But we're thankful every day. We make blessings every day. We can pray to the Creator every day. We understand He's the one in charge. So that needs to be strengthened. That we need to strengthen. That you need to learn more Torah. That you need more Jewish philosophy slapped upside your head in order to take it in, to say, I know what I need to do. I know which direction I need to go. That means it's easy. Does not mean it's easy at all. It's not supposed to be. Whether it's a Jew or a non-Jew wants to convert. It's no difference. It's not made to be easy. As we said before, if you're closer to the king, you can get burnt. Right? So you gotta be careful what you say, you gotta be careful what you do, this, that, right? And so the repercussions are much greater. Very good. So would you rather be a potato farmer in Idaho? Have your head like a watermelon? People say, well, I'll be treated differently. Right. Then you lose everything. Right. Then you have the opportunity to lose everything. So doing things that are meaningful, regardless of what happens in general. Why do I say regardless of what happens? Because God's going to judge it how He does it. But at the end of the day, I got the ability to draw close. But I have to see the bigger picture. So we look at the glass as half empty. It doesn't have to be this hard. You're right, it doesn't. And there are people in certain countries, conversion's not an option. And sometimes, even the ones in charge of conversion are corrupt. Happens. So you're going to say, but it's not my fault. No one said it was. But there's a reality. So now the question is, how are you going to deal with it? Right? How's the person going to get around it? Okay, these are issues. These are issues. But even with all that and all the come to Israel, plenty of politics. Plenty of politics. So all the politics and everything else, isn't it still worthwhile going through it? So you'll say yes, but shouldn't be this hard. Shouldn't be this lonely. It's a lonely path. This is why most converts don't make it. That's why they don't make it. Because they're ostracized. And they have difficulty moving. And, and then people say things and make it much harder than maybe it has to be. Okay. Maybe it's true. My question is, how bad somebody want it? You have to want something really bad. This something you have to want really bad. And if you don't want it really bad, you won't get it. 100% you won't get it. Right? Every last thing is a gift. Everything we have is a gift. Problem is, we don't look at it as a gift. We take it for granted. 100% we take it for granted. Not only we take it for granted, we want it to be easy. So someone will tell me no. I know it doesn't have to be easy. They'll say, I know it doesn't have to be easy. But I just want it, I just want it in a certain way. Yeah, it's depressing. It can be depressing. I would say also, that we want to feel good about what we do. And we get slammed all over. Maybe by communities, maybe by family, maybe by both. You're like, wow, what a great thing. What a great covenant. Where do I sign up? It's not meant to be easy. Remember, right? I'll say it like this. A person, if they go to medical school, 30% of the students first year get knocked out. They get knocked out. Weeded out, right? Let's say. They get weeded out. Second year, another 15%. Yeah, after that, they should, it should stick and they should get there. So it's the same thing. Less than 20% actually finish. A lot of different reasons why, but that's not the point. And a lot of people say the same thing. It's hard to move. Hard to change my mentality. The person said this, someone said that. Other things. I have so many people to speak to. And it's all part of this. It's all part of this. So I'll ask a theoretical question. And the theoretical question is it worth it? Is it worth it? Now, someone once asked me, see the other question, I'll deal with them in a second. Someone asked many years ago, what would happen if you would find out if you die? Because this person said, when I die, I'm going 6 feet under. So I said, oh, for your sake, you're right. Because if I'm right, you're in serious trouble. Pay back in this world. The next world's like, oh, there's the next world. Can you tell me what goes on there in the soundbite? I was like, yeah, I'll send you, life after death. I said, yeah, I'll send you a link. I don't know if they ever saw the link or not, but, they would have given me 10 seconds and that would have been it. Right? So person says, what if I'm right? What if when a person dies, nothing happens? They die like a dog. No offense to any dog lovers out there. Poof, nothing happens. They die, no God, no portion of the world to come, nothing. So I said, I hope for your sake you're right. But I said, even if you would be right, and there's no reward, there's no nothing for what we do. So I said, is there any better way for a person to live their life and have meaning than by doing this? Whether it's a Jew or non-Jew, doesn't matter. Is there any better way? I said as a Jew, right? But is there any better system set up that gives us meaning in life for every last thing and thought that we do on a daily basis? So I said, no, there's nothing more meaningful. Even if, God forbid, the whole thing was a hoax. And that none of this is going to happen later. Okay. There's no better way to live a life. They didn't agree with that, but it's okay. That's your opinion. Yeah. Because there is no better way. 100% there's no better way. That all our actions matter. What I do matters. Right, every town, every city, has a scale going up and down. What I do matters now. Which side the scale is going to go under. Forget about what other people do. Gives meaning. It's meaning in every last thing I do. So even if, God forbid, it's all not true, let's say, it's all not true, it's no better way to live your life. No better way to live your life. even if it's hard, even if it feels impossible. Right, but that's the question people have to ask. Right? See, I was born a Jew. I don't have a choice. I could leave it. Everyone's got a choice. Is it worthwhile? Of course it's worthwhile. Sure it's worthwhile. Right? So then I would say, so why are you complaining? And what's the answer? Because it's hard. You're right. Nothing worthwhile is good if it's easy. If it's easy, it's not worth it. If it's a challenge, then it's got meaning. That's what I would say. Somebody asks, can a Jewish person accept the role of godmother or godfather for a Christian child? I guess. I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, like, what does that mean? It's not like. It's not like. If anyone, let's say anything happens, God forbid, to that person, they make you the guardian. That's a different issue, right? Being a godfather or godmother or whatever, I don't know, it doesn't really mean that much. In the bigger, in the bigger, in the bigger scheme of things. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if that child is a Christian child. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters. I mean, okay, you have a connection to this person. You have a connection to this child. Okay. Does it matter beyond that? I don't know if it really matters. I say, well, really, person's got to be a godparent or whatever to be to a Jewish child. I don't know what the difference is. It doesn't really, certainly within Jewish law, it doesn't really mean much, right? In the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't really mean that much. But, someone could say, well, if a person's Jewish, being a godparent, I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters. They're Christian, they're Buddhist, they're anything else. I mean, what are the ramifications? It's like they're giving like person's clothes, whatever. They want to give them that status. Okay, what would that status mean? Take them out to eat once in a while, get together with them. I don't know, what are the ramifications? If there aren't any real ramifications, just sort of a status. Really, I mean, technically, there's really nothing wrong with it. Even it doesn't matter what the child is, right? And Christian, Buddhist, or who knows what, or even a secular Jew or a Jew for J, or who knows what, right? That shouldn't matter. Someone might say, "Come on, the influence a person might have and the connection, maybe it's not a good thing." Yeah, but I mean, according to Jewish law, is there really anything wrong with it? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it's just a status thing, right? It'd be different if someone would say that if God forbid anything happens, we want you to be the guardian. That's a different issue. Being a guardian is a different issue. Yeah, but I don't think this is the case. If that's the case, then you can tell me if I'm wrong. But it's a status thing. Practically speaking, doesn't really have so many ramifications. And if a person would be a guardian, let's say they would be a guardian if God forbid anything happened. So that might only be an issue if, let's say, they were living with you. Now, if they're living with you, and a person if they're already Jewish, it's one thing, right? Don't necessarily want to have a non-Jew living with you, kashrus wise. There are other problems also, but let's just say we'll make it easy. Let's say the person wasn't Jewish, but they're going to be Jewish. Yeah, and they had guardianship. That might be an issue, and the reason it'd be an issue is because rabbinical court will say, well, you're taking care of this kid, he's going to stay a Christian or whatever he's going to be, or she is going to be. So then the question is, they're living in your house. That's a problem. That's a problem until they get out of the house for conversion. If a person's already Jewish, yeah, Would it be a good thing, to be a guardian of such a person? I don't think so. Run into a lot of problems. If you can work out all these other problems, maybe, right? Right? If that would be the case, you run into a number of problems. You run into a number of potential problems. But I don't think this is the case, right? This doesn't sound like the case. A godparent's a godparent, but like what does that mean? I also had a godfather. Godmother. I think my godmother's still alive. My godfather's no longer alive, but whatever. They're close friends of my parents. Okay. So practically speaking, what did it mean? It doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just they give persons, they give them a special status. They want to say like, we're really close. I made him godfather. Okay. Practically speaking, it's got doesn't have any ramifications. They don't really have any practical ramifications. Somebody asks, so that's how I'd answer that. Somebody asks, where can I find that podcast? Oh, let me put that up. There's a lot of good things going on. We'll see where it all goes. It's on BJQ Radio. You can Google it. I got my own station there. Gonna have a lot of Jewish content there. That's where all the podcasts that I do. I do them on Monday. I mean, people can come live also because we're doing them on Zoom. Also, people want to come live. So those are every Monday. I'll just put this up here. Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Usually 10 o'clock Eastern time. In the States, 5 o'clock Israel time. It's usually for an hour and a half. So over the last number of weeks, I started before Rosh Hashanah. So I spoke about Rosh Hashanah and judgment and suffering. And I spoke suffering for a number of weeks. Spoke about what I speak about last week, spoke about the reincarnation. And then yesterday, I spoke about reaching potential. Right, that was part one. Definitely going to be part two next week. But that's where it is. Let me just put it up here on YouTube. BJQ Radio. Yeah. So if you look it up there, my name will be up there. I got my own channel, so they're putting up, my videos up there plus the podcast. But whatever. It's going to be an interesting project going on. That trying to put a lot of Jewish content, Israeli content, and starting it's on it was on what do you call it? It's on iHeartRadio now. It was on Blogspot or Blog something or other. Blog Talk. Blog Talk's going out of business in January. It's where a lot of the stuff is, but it's on Roku. It's on whatever. It's on TV network. So whatever, gonna have their own TV network as well, with a lot of Jewish programming as well. So that's one of my projects working on as well. So that's where the podcasts are. Plus, they're putting all my stuff up there also, but I got my stuff up in other places. So they're putting up there also, just giving me more exposure. And at the same time, they are doing these podcasts. So, whatever topic, I guess, feel like speaking about, but whatever, we're going to stay on potential probably for a little bit. But yeah, they're up there. So if you go to BJQ Radio, then it'll come up. And then if you browse and you look for my name, it'll be up there. If you can't find it, let me know. I can send you the link. Somebody asks, or somebody mentions, very good. I'm suffering, but I wouldn't change Judaism for everything. Yeah, some people give up though. Some people, just they're put in a situation where it's very hard, and can't judge anyone unless we've been in their situation. So, but yeah, it's all a test, as we said. Someone says for a Jew to be godparents, they have to go to the seminary inside a Christian church. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. And if they would do that, yeah, that would be a problem. That's a good point. If they would, if it was like a formal thing where they actually do it in a church, okay. That would be a problem. That for sure would be a problem. But if it wasn't done in a church, then yeah, then I don't see why it would be a problem. My parents' generation, I don't think this generation does it, secular Jews. Maybe they do. Maybe we'll take a survey. Some people, if they have godparents for their kids. Yeah. if they have godparents, for their kids, if they're Jews. But if they're Jews, it doesn't, there is no formal thing, that they do. If it's a non-Jew, maybe you're right. I don't know. If they do a formal thing in the church and make a whole thing about it, yeah, that's a problem. That for sure be a problem. But if that's not the case and it's like a ceremony, it's not even a ceremonial type of thing, then yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. Should be much less. Should be much less of an issue. Um, um, Definitely should be much less of an issue. But if it would be, a person would have to go to the church, then yeah, then it should be forbidden. So yeah, I'm gonna send the link here. Here's the link to BJQ Radio TV. Here, I'll put it up there. Very good. Yeah. So again, going into a church, yeah. There's a question for a Jew, for sure, it's forbidden. Going into a church for a non-Jew, there's no question about Christianity whether it is idolatry or not. Some aspects of it are not. Some different branches of Christianity are not idolatrous. Some say the whole thing with the Trinity, whatever, is for a non-Jew may not be forbidden. It's a major difference of opinion among rabbinic authorities. We hold, in any case, it is idolatry, right? We hold for practical speaking, it is considered idolatry, but certain branches they don't believe in JC, whatever, may not be. It just would be forbidden anyway because it's making up a new religion, right? As the Rambam says. So you can't make up a new religion. So once you make up a new religion, you're out, right? Even if some people would say Islam, some parts of Islam may be idolatrous. We don't hold that way in general. Majority opinion is it's not. But even it would still be forbidden because making up a new religion. But some would say it's the closest thing to being a Noahide, which may be true because essentially they believe in one God. But even if they believe in one God, they believe in one God, I wouldn't say that they are de facto Noahides. I've heard some people say it, but it doesn't make any sense why that should be the case. They're closer to being Noahides, true. They are definitely closer. The issue is all you have to do is find out one thing that that the Muslims don't do that goes against the Noahide laws, you knock the whole thing out, right? And I'm sure there are plenty of them. I'm not an expert at all in Sharia law, but guaranteed there are going to be major differences, between that and what Noahides are allowed to do or not allowed to do. So all you have to do is really find one, and that shouldn't be too hard to do, right? And definitely should not be too hard to do. I'm sure there are plenty, without even looking too hard. I'm sure there are plenty. So, so even if they are closer to being a Noahide, that really doesn't matter, right? That really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's a made-up religion. So made-up religion is a problem. But I would say if you had nowhere else to pray, they could pray in a mosque. They for sure could pray in a mosque. They can't pray in a church. Big difference, right? Big difference. So okay, so it's better in that sense, not idolaters, but there are a lot of issues with Islam, plenty of issues with Islam, no question about it. So it doesn't just because they're closer to Noahides does not mean they're de facto Noahides, because I guarantee that can be disproven. But even so, as the Rambam says, you can't go against the prophecy of Moses, and if you do, it's a made up religion. If it's a made up religion, then it doesn't really matter they believe in one God or not, right? And the question that comes up, people will say, well, how can they believe in one God and and commit all these terrible acts or whatever? If they believe in the same God, well, that's not a contradiction. They can believe in the same God. It's just they distort it. They totally distort it, for their own whatever, right? For whatever they distort it for, right? So that'd be that'd be a problem. Someone asks, is a Noahide allowed to produce wine, beer, or whiskey? Yeah, why not? Not a problem. Not a problem. Someone drinks wine and gets health damage. Will the wine producer get punished? No, not at all. Because the wine producer is, and they put on the bottles, right? They put on health warnings. So that's all they have to do. If someone takes the wine and they get plastered, it causes them health issues. You're not the person that produced it, the problem, right? It's business. It's good business, right? Very good business. Yeah. So someone becomes an alcoholic, that's your problem because you created it, right? You got to remember one thing. The Torah is very big in saying you got to take responsibility for your own actions. 100% you got to take responsibility for your own actions. So if someone produces something that potentially could be dangerous if you abuse it, okay. Yeah. And if someone abuses it, that's their problem. And the Torah will say it's their problem. And they have to work on themselves. Not the fact the person produced it, person is allowed to produce it. Right? That's business. Now, if it's something illegal, yeah, that's a different issue. Is a person allowed to produce illegal drugs? No. Right? That's the problem, because that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Say, well, alcohol is also dangerous. Okay. And you get you got more high percentage of people causing damage and killing people when they're under the influence, and if they smoke weed. True. That is definitely true. Or maybe even other hard drugs, let's say. I mean, statistically, probably more people get in accidents and whatever when they're under the influence of alcohol than let's say cocaine, or heroin, or any of these other drugs, right? Statistically, much greater, much greater, but we don't look at it necessarily the same as other forbidden drugs, because the other drugs are much more dangerous. But you got to say, come on, someone who drinks a lot will cause, liver damage and all that, and kill the brain cells, and true, right? That is definitely true, right? But it's if someone's over the age, it's not illegal. It's not illegal for them, right? And some people would say alcohol is worse. Maybe it is worse. Maybe it is worse than other drugs. But I would say if a person produced and sold, which would be illegal, right? Well, except for marijuana in a lot of places, right? But harder drugs, that's much worse, because it's like you're giving someone a gun and they're shooting themselves in the head. Yeah, that's much worse, because that's much more dangerous. Much more dangerous. So that the person would be responsible for putting that out in the market. Alcohol, I wouldn't say the same thing, right? Everyone will say you got to use it responsibly. Drugs, you don't say that. You don't say use drugs responsibly. Responsibly. Everyone will say don't use drugs at all. Why not? Because it's much more dangerous. Much more dangerous. Even though alcohol causes a lot of problems, it does. Right? But drugs much worse. Much worse. So if someone, put out illegal drugs that are against the law, and they're much more dangerous, they have a direct impact. That's a direct impact. This wouldn't be a direct impact, because someone abuses alcohol, it's their own fault. Not the fault of the person who produced it. And there are warnings all over the place. So, would it be better if people didn't produce alcohol? Yeah, but you're allowed to. According to the law, you're allowed to. Right? You want to be holy, Leviticus chapter 19. Right? Says God's holy, so you have to be holy. So the Ramban Nachmanides over there says, just because you're allowed to eat and drink doesn't mean you're allowed to be a glutton and be an alcoholic. Right? It's permissible. God put it in the world for a reason. So you're allowed to drink it, not a problem, but you're not allowed to abuse it. So the person who created it is going to transgress because you abused it? If you gave something illegal, something more potent, it's going to fry your brain and cause other problems. Yeah, that's more of a direct cause. Much more of a direct cause. Yeah, let me see other questions here. That's what I would say on that. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, I got a bunch of other questions to deal with, but I'll deal with that, I guess, on Thursday. Even though some people may say it's sacrilegious, how could you, yeah, how could you do any class on Thanksgiving? Okay, so whoever comes, comes. Speak about Thanksgiving also, maybe. Yeah, any other questions? Should a person always be content and relax and trust Hashem? That's everything that's good, even if it looks like impossible challenges. I'll tell you a story. It's a story that a person, is with a bunch of people, and they were sleeping, and a dog came and, you know, did what it needed to do. Guy's all disgusted. He's got to clean himself up. He goes out, he goes to change, goes outside, whatever, to change, comes back. All his friends are dead. The wall collapsed. Now, how many people would want to get made on? I'll take a survey. How many people would want to get made on? Nobody. Yeah. Nobody. Not in their worst nightmare. Nobody wants to get made on by an animal. Good. This saved the person's life. Now, didn't it look bad? Of course it looked bad. Right? A lot of things look bad, but they don't have to necessarily turning out bad. And even if it did, okay, so God's trying to teach me something. Right? God's trying to teach me something. So you got to see the good. Remember one thing: when doors are closed, other doors open. I've seen this, I can't even tell you how many times. Whether myself, with other people. You think you got slammed here, you lost everything here. Other doors open. Other doors open. Right? But you got to, we believe everything's for the good. The Chofetz Chaim says, nothing comes bad. Nothing bad comes out of heaven. It's only our perception, but it's not really bad. You can say, but it looks bad or whatever. Okay. However it looks doesn't matter. We understand what God does is for the best. So we have to see the good. Sometimes when you're getting squeezed, like the bottom of the toothpaste, it's hard to see the good. Yeah. That I would agree. That's not so easy. Right? But hindsight's 2020. Everyone can be a Monday morning quarterback, and you can see there's certain times God will open your eyes. Right? It'll open your eyes on that. And he'll show you. And he'll definitely show you. Right? Someone asked, where's my door? It's a good question. Good question. Doors open. When? If I were God, that'd be a different issue, but I'm not. So I didn't even play him on TV. So we don't know. We don't know. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it can happen 2 weeks later. Sometimes, a lot of times, when's the door going to open? When you least expect it. When you least expect it. That's the way it works. Person can't call it. Person can't say, oh, this had happened because of that had happened. Sometimes, or I would say many times, things happen. And if you were to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, that this thing would happen, it would be like number 250,720. Wouldn't even go up on your map at all. Not even on Waze. Wouldn't go anywhere. You would never have thought this is the way it's going to turn out. Never. And I say never, I mean never. It's like totally out of left field. I don't know if the only one who's seen this. Plenty of other people have seen it. Yeshua's Hashem Ge'ervayin, the salvation of God comes a blink of an eyelash, can happen overnight, any second. Things could change. And doors open. When? I can't answer. Right? But they do open. All doors are never shut. They are never shut. But a person has to realize what you pray every day, you say that you're the one in charge, you can make it happen, you can do anything. And he can. He can do anything at any time. When is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Like when you least expect it. Gemara in Bracha says, a sword can be at your throat and at your neck. God can always have mercy. You might die, but God can always have mercy. Plenty of cases that has happened. So we don't know when. We don't know how. And where we think it's going to come from? Never. Never in your wildest dreams. What could happen is, let's say a person's in business. Somebody you haven't spoken to, in 2 years, all of a sudden walks through the door or calls you up on the phone, and then other things start to move out of nowhere. That's God knocking on the door saying, no, I didn't forget you. I didn't forget you. Why'd he do it then after 2 years? And why do you make it happen in that way? So I can't answer. There are a lot of other things going on. God has his ways. I hear this all the time because people say, I've been in this process. I wanted some help. And all of a sudden, I saw your ad. All of a sudden, you sent me a text. All of a sudden, you're the answer to my prayers. I could be anyone's worst enemy also. But they say, yeah, you were the answer to my prayers. Why now? Why all of a sudden now? I've been in the process for months, this, that, whatever, and nothing seemed to go. You know what the difference is? I'll tell you what the difference is. God says, oh, now you're serious? Now I see you're serious? Now I see self-sacrifice? And you're willing to make the self-sacrifice? Okay, now I'm going to help you. But you have to give of yourself. You have to want Torah, as King Solomon said, you have to want it more than diamonds, rubies. You got to want it. And it's one of the hardest things to acquire. 3 hardest things to acquire: Torah, Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, and Olam Haba in the next world. Torah is a hard thing to acquire, but you have to want it. And you have to want it a lot, more than anything else. When God sees that you want it, He'll put someone in your path to help you. Because the Gemara says, if you want to go on the right path, God will help you. If you don't want to go on the right path, God will not stop you. The person has to want to go on the right path. You have to want to do the right thing. And guess what? That right path may not be so easy. It may not be so easy in so many ways. Doesn't mean it's not the right path. Doesn't mean that. And the person has to remember, anytime you felt like it was hopeless and you were squeezed and this and that, did everything just go? Like, you're on the street starving. Maybe some people, maybe sometimes that happens. There's so many other things that, you can say you had. Okay, I'm not saying other things are hard, that they're not hard, of course. Of course they're hard. Self-sacrifice is not for nothing. Not only that, even if a person feels they're having such difficulty, very good. But what happens? You get much stronger because of it. Because you understand God's the one in charge. And He's the one, and He's going to take care of business. When, how, where, that's His business. That's His business. We put our best foot forward. That's what we're supposed to do. It's close above us says. It's not a guarantee for anything. The guarantee is God's the one in charge. That's the guarantee. That's the guarantee. How it's going to work out in the end, we have no idea. And sometimes we piece things together. We say, oh yeah, this happened, that happened, the other thing happened. There are certain things you're going to scratch your head and say, no idea. No idea whatsoever. Even if you were smoking weed, you wouldn't have thought about it. Like, it wouldn't have come up on your radar at all. Someone out of nowhere, after 2 years, you don't hear from the person. They're going to come and change everything on its head, fill you out, this, that. Never. It's not like, what are the odds? I'll tell you what the odds are. 0. That's the odds. It's never going to happen. So why did God make it happen? Because He wanted it to happen. He wanted to use this person as a messenger. Very good. We have no idea. No idea. A person may say, oh, but I did this, I did that, I did the other thing. You start to connect the dots, you start to make connections, different things. Very good. But it may lead nowhere. Right? In this case, none. These dots don't connect. 100 times out of 100, the dots don't connect. So what's God showing you? He's in charge. And he can make anything happen anytime. So when's your door going to happen? Good question. Don't know. That you got to pray hard for. You say, God, take me out of the situation. God, you're the one in charge. Whatever you say, whatever you want, I'm going to put my best foot forward. Now, let's say a person's getting squeezed more and more and more. So pray with a lot more fervor. Say, listen, I'm on my knees. I can't do anything without you. You're the one in charge. You got to put your best foot forward. Nobody's saying not. But putting your best foot forward is not a guarantee for anything. But you still have to do it. What does God want to see more than anything else? God wants to see self-sacrifice. He wants to see how much you're willing to pay. Right? How much you really want it. When he sees deep down in a person's heart what they really want and how much they want it, he will open doors. Just a matter of when. I know someone that went through a very, very hard time, right? Monetarily, spiritually, did something very, very, very hard, extremely painful. Doors opened shortly thereafter. Shortly thereafter, what changed? So what changed? Some person struggled for years and couldn't convert. Different circumstances, couldn't convert. But what changed? I think, my opinion, for what it's worth, this person did something that was extremely, extremely hard. Didn't want to do it, but he felt they had no choice. Did what he needed to do, and then these other doors opened. Again, people can say, well, maybe what you said isn't true. Maybe. But what changed? What changed this person's status now? Or before? God saw he laid himself down on the line. And he said, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to show you how important it is. I'm going to take this step, and I'm going to move forward. That's what happened. Again, that's the only reason. It could be a million reasons why. But this person showed willing to do, even if it's painful, extremely painful. He did it. He did it. Right? Then they got the act together. Financially, things changed. They converted short time after. It was like probably a few years after that, but whatever, that got the ball rolling. Probably a year after that, a little more than a year after that. But that opened up all these other doors. Now, they might be struggling financially and other things now. It doesn't matter. But that opened up the door. I think, my personal opinion, for what it's worth. God saw self-sacrifice. God saw how serious the person was, willing to lose certain things that were very painful to lose. And he did it. Person did it, doors open. Doors open. Someone says people want to do a good thing, such as convert and count on divine assistance. Yeah. Again, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Right? But if a person wants to go in the right direction, God is going to help them. And God is going to put people in their path that will help them. That does not mean everything's going to go simple. That's not what it means. Right? But if a person wants to do that, right, they will get divine help. Somebody asked, one second. Oh, a bunch of questions here. Someone says Jewish person cannot be the deity parents. Doesn't mean anything. Right? Not, today, a godparent is, it's not idolatry. Right? All right, maybe it was even steeped in idolatry. Maybe. Right? Today doesn't mean that. If they're taking it like that, to be like, you're going to be this deity for this kid, okay. Yeah, but I don't think that's the case. If that would be the case, then you're right. 100% be forbidden. Would you consider making a request for Noahites, give them some structure? Could. I mean, I have a whole course. A whole course for Noahites I did. Could do that. Someone here said Jewish person might be able to be a legal guardian. That's the question. That's exactly the question. Should a Jewish person, if that's the case, be a legal guardian for a Christian? That's a problem. If they're going to be raised as a Christian, you have a Christian in your house. That's an issue. That would be the issue. If it's making them a deity good, that would be another issue. But if that's not the case, that would be the only issue. That would really, halachically, that would be the only issue. The right path is usually not easy, right? That 100% is true. Right? Person wants to do the right thing, it's usually never easy. Right? But that means it's meaningful. That's part of the test. Someone asked, Rabbi, ever read the New Testament? If so, do I think it's more or less anti-Semitic? That's wrong. Can't say, I've read a lot of it, but, it's definitely wrong. They definitely take things out of context. They definitely make us look bad. The Quran does that for everyone else also, right? But more or less against Jews. Yeah. I haven't read enough of it, so it's definitely misguided, definitely mistranslations, and definitely that. It's more or less anti-Semitic than the Old Testament. The Old Testament's not anti-Semitic. Yeah, the Old Testament's the real deal, the word of God. So, if you're saying that it's anti-Semitic, then God's anti-Semitic. So that wouldn't make too much sense for that. Can Jews smoke weed? No, it's forbidden. If it's medical marijuana, it's a different issue, only for certain things. Only for certain things. The guideline, the OU, the Union of Orthodox Rabbis, they have a guideline for smoking weed of persons in pain, certain pain that they have. Not all pain, right? But let's say they have chronic pain for certain things. Yeah, then medical marijuana would be okay. But smoking weed in general, it should be forbidden, right? It's bad for you. Yeah, you say alcohol is worse, maybe, but doesn't matter. It's bad. Doesn't matter if it's legal, even if it's legal. Right? Many studies have been done. The more a person does it, the worse it is. Right? It has long-ranging effects. Do it once here, once there. It's not going to have that kind of effect, but shouldn't be done either way. That makes us look bad. So what? Why does Tanakh make us look bad? If they sin. Jews sin. When Jews sin, we get called out. Called out by God, called out by the prophets, giving us Musar. Right? So what? Doesn't mean Torah's not true. Get rebuked by God all the time for not doing what he says. That doesn't make it anti-Semitic. That's Musar. That's giving, that's slamming us when we need to be slammed for doing the wrong thing. Doesn't make it anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic means like it's racist. God's not racist. Jewish people are not racist. Even though people say, oh, you're the chosen people, this and that. Doesn't make us racist. God said we're chosen. So you got a problem with God. Person who says that would have a problem with God. Yeah? Okay. That make us better. We have the Torah. It makes us different. We have more obligations. Okay. Yeah. Right? Whatever God's going to say, someone points out, very good. Whatever God says doesn't make him bad, doesn't make him an anti-Semite. Right? He created mankind. He made the Jewish people who they are. If we don't do what we're supposed to do, yeah. There's payback. And look what the Jewish people have gone through throughout the millennium for not doing what he says. Someone here says, I recommend medical marijuana for all vets. Yeah, they may need it. 100%. They may need it. For PTSD and other things, sure. But I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about recreational use. Recreational use, yeah, studies been proven that's bad. 100%. Use it, for other things, for medical things that you should use it for, good. I don't have a problem with that. Problem is if it's used for other things, you shouldn't use it for. Right? And certainly recreational use. Right? Even if studies show, that alcohol is worse, this has a long range effect. Definitely has a long range effect. But if a person needs medical marijuana under the right circumstance, it's permissible, 100%. Under somebody that they're in tremendous pain. They're no longer in this world, but they had, I don't know, all kinds of pain. All kinds of pain. Marijuana helped them tremendously. Tremendously. It helped them. Yeah. So that's a different issue. Right? But that wasn't the question. The question was, can you smoke it? Okay. Recreational use is a different issue. Right? All right, I'm gonna stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, and I'm gonna do on Thanksgiving also this week. Every Tuesday, Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, ethics for our fathers, book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com. RABBI, CHIMCOFFMAN at gmail.com, whichever good, beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, and everyone have a great